again. We are the mother-daughter duo, Komal and Srishti.
We forgot to introduce ourselves in the last.
We are back again with another conversation, which is actually something that is very closer to our own personal life experiences. I had shared a little bit in some of my previous videos that how I went through a divorce and then got married again to my ex-partner. And so the part that I want to discuss today, because Srishti is also here with me, and so whenever parents or husband wife go through divorce when they have children, the children also go through that experience of divorce. And although in my and my husband's case, we always had the concern of them being really young and them like that they will be impacted by this divorce. Still, the conversation that I want to have today with Srishti is about her experience of going through our divorce. And what we try to attempt with this conversation is to bring out the real lived experiences of a child's perspective, right? So, are you ready for this conversation, Srishti?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me start by asking you, how much do you remember of the time when me and your dad, when we got divorced?
What was that hesitation? Me and my dad. Oh, you said me and my.
Your dad.
Okay. I think not too much. Not too much. There are fragments of time. Like the big moments, yes. But other than that, not too much.
Okay. So whatever you remember, can you bring out those memories, or and how would you explain that? Like, what was it like for you when me and your dad went through divorce?
Well, I expected it. Like the first time you told me was when we were going to go get ourselves from some frozen yogurt. I think you were I think you were buying us frozen yogurt to kind of like ease the news. We're like, hey, at least you have this. We were like in the traffic and you were like, Srishti, I have something important to tell you. And I was like, is it about you and dad being divorced? And we're like, what makes you say that? I was like, because you guys fight. But then you told me that, yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. And then it was like the world shattered for me. I was expecting it. But at the same time, I was not expecting it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and why were you expecting it? Like, why was it like, okay, oh, they can get divorced as well?
Because I think this was like a year after. You guys had some pretty big fights. And as like a early teen person,
11, 12.
Oh, I thought it was like yeah. So as a preteen who has a lot going on in her head and doesn't have like anything else to do other than overthink things, yeah, I thought there was a possibility.
Because we had arguments or fights or disagreements about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And also, I think even if you don't fight sometimes, I think because you live in the same house, in a proximity, so you can sense always that something is not right, something is not good.
Yeah.
And so it made you think like, oh, they will separate.
Yeah. But I didn't expect it to be the way it was. They still lived at the same house. I was like, where's the drama?
Yeah, yeah. So I think what was different in our case was that both me and their dad, we were pretty aware that if we sort of include a lot many people, sit and discuss about it with family and extended family members, it's going to be a huge drama, and we really didn't want that for the children, although Srishti would say that
No,
we
that's
took
just a joke. I don't want all of that for my peace of mind.
yeah. So we both decided that we need to go our separate ways and things are not working out, so we were both in agreement that okay, we want to have our separate lives. But then Srishti and her brother, they were important for both of us, so we said okay, let's do a legal separation. But because they are so young, we decided to live under the same roof in the same apartment, just holding our own spaces, and so that we can co-parent them together. And so when we took divorce, we didn't tell anybody. Nobody in our family knew. It was only me and him, and we applied in court, and whatever the 6 months time period that the court gives you to reconsider or try to reconcile, we tried. We still came to the same conclusion, so we went, and then it was done. And we told my parents after a few months, and of course it was shocking for them. And we told Srishti. I mean, Srijal was too
He
young.
was there too, but I don't think he understood.
Yeah, he didn't understand anything.
He was just happy to have his frozen yogurt.
Also, maybe because dad was still living in the same house. You guys
Yeah.
were with me, and so there was no difference in your way of living, so to say, except for the fact that your husband, sorry, your parents told you that that they've got separated now,
Yeah.
or probably you're noticing them being in their own different zones.
Yeah.
So what would you say if, let's just for a moment go to that drama, like if we would have sort of included, or if you would have known earlier before we going to get divorced, what do you think, or what do you imagine might have happened or taken place?
So if you did involve everyone,
Yeah.
what would have happened?
Yeah. Or if we did involve you in before deciding.
Oh, kind of like who do you want to live with? Who are you siding with? That type of thing.
Yeah.
I imagine I would have hated both of you. Yeah.
And why is that?
Because, like, I mean, though everyone has favorite children and everyone has favorite parents, don't say you don't, because everyone does. Still, how can you choose between two people? Right? Like, I go to Papa for some things that I won't go to you for, and then I go to you for some things that I don't go to Papa for. And I was also just like, what, 12, 11? How could a child choose between their parents?
Yeah.
I think that would like deeply traumatize me.
And it does feel like that you have to take sides, right? Like you have to choose.
Still, yeah, unconsciously, even though you don't intend for that to happen, still sort of happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes when both of you are maybe fighting or whatever, like, okay, who is more angry right now?
pacify that
who
person.
can go for a little bit more, annoyance.
So you become more like a pacifier or balancer of the equation, right?
Yeah, that job kind of falls upon the
Children.
kid. Yeah.
Which I think is sad.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case. Because children shouldn't be responsible for the harmony or congeniality of a relationship in whichever shape or form it is. Even if like parents are not looking eye to eye or they are separate, despite that, I think the responsibility always lies on the adults and not on the children.
Yeah.
But it is sad and it's unfortunate that in certain situations, children do adopt those roles. So tell me, after 2 years of living like that, we decided to come to Canada. And I think that was the first time when me, you, Srijan, we came to Canada and your dad was alone in India. And that was the real time when you guys sort of experienced a separation or away from your father, right? At that time only, I think the feeling of sort of divorce came real for you guys. So how was that experience for you?
I remember Papa talking to me, and it was before anything was really settled that we were going to Canada. And I think you just talked to him. And so he talked to me, and he was like, your mom's thinking of like going to Canada with you guys. I don't remember what exactly he said. And he didn't really say anything bad either. He was just talking to me. But then I was like, and so I rushed to you and I was like, Mama, please don't do this. And yeah, then I don't know. I think from that point on, like the time that it took for like the legal paperwork to come in, for the PR to come in, all of that, I think I had really kind of just accepted it. I was just like, it is what it is. What can I do? So I don't really remember a lot of the time between like when our paperwork came in and then coming to Canada. I literally don't even remember the airplane flight to here. But I think you could see my behavior changing.
Yes.
So I think then I did hold you as a villain. I did think that, okay, like, I don't know. I thought of, I didn't think you were a villain.
It's all right.
Yeah, I thought she was a villain.
You didn't let me hug you for more than a year and a half.
Yeah.
And we as a family are like very hugging, kissing kind of family. Like always around each other. And but I do remember that for a year and a half or even more than that, you were just in your shell, holding some feelings of, I don't know, whatever for me. Yeah. And what was your thoughts or feelings about your dad?
Let me remember. Okay. I thought I didn't really like talking to him too much. Because I always sort of thought he was so sad and, well, he was isolated. He was living alone and then COVID happened. So, I did not want to but then I also felt sad that he's alone. I don't want to say this, but I think I pitied him a little.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the only word I can think of right now.
Hmm.
But then that's like that in turn made my feelings towards you stronger.
Hmm.
I was like, you know, seeing someone's unfortunate misfortune, and then someone you didn't really talk to me too much.
Hmm.
Maybe because I didn't let you during that time.
Hmm.
But I thought you were like really happy and you were just like living that independent woman life. Girl bossing.
Girl bossing? I was in deep shit. In a completely new country, in space, having no career all of a sudden, trying to settle myself with you guys.
I didn't really see that because
No.
also again you had us and then we were also living with your brother.
Yeah.
So you had family support, but he did not, and he's just that type of person who would like do melodrama a little. So it's easier to feel bad for him.
He's good to gossip and he does melodrama. Okay. Yeah. And I remember, like,
But also, sorry to interrupt you, but also the divorce was your decision.
I asked for it, yes.
And he
Agreed.
still loved you a lot, and you were kind of like holding back. Again.
So he would say. Yeah. Okay. And I remember once when I literally pushed you to speak. Like, I literally pushed you to the extent that you would crack down and then you would cry, and only after you spoke your feelings one day. And that was the only time when you allowed me to hug you.
When was that?
I don't remember exactly the date and the month, but I know it happened in the bedroom
I would have
upstairs.
remembered the date as well. I would have remembered the time.
No, And yeah, but you did held on, and it did make you go into your own shell and harbor those feelings of anger within you. I could see
It
that.
changes your relationship with other people as well.
Yeah.
Not just romantically, but also as friends.
Hmm.
Just like all the relationships you have. I think you get a little more, not defensive, but yeah, in your own shell.
Yeah.
You get more introverted, more like in your own protective. Yeah. And I remember, I know I am an extrovert. I love leeching onto other people's energies too.
Okay.
So I like having people around, and for a pretty long time, all the way till like I graduated high school, I kind of became this
loner.
Not you calling me a loner.
No, I'm just trying to help you find words.
The emo mysterious kid.
Okay. Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. It wasn't cool. But then during the last semester of high school, I was really open. I was really out there. But then it was a little too late because
it was dad was back, I think, by then.
He was back. That was after you guys were married. But I can't just do a 180 like one night when I accept everything. Give me time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, during like the last semester of high school, I was more open to talking to other people. I was more open with just school stuff. I remember I did like singing with my friend though it was really bad, but I at least did it.
You started to go out of your own bubble.
Yeah, and now I look back at my time in school and I'm like, I could have just lived my life. I could have just done it. But I didn't.
Mm.
So, a lesson for me before college.
So, so now that me and your dad are back, and now it's a completely different equation, and it's a very unusual scenario because it's not like, oh, your parents married, then they had you, and then you guys lived your life. There was a continuity. There was actually a sort of a break and a shift and a period, a very distinctive period because of our divorce, and then we again sort of reconciled and decided to get married and become like one whole unit again. So, how do you think this experience has shaped you? I think it might be a little too young to sort of project in the future, but still, like, because you have been in high school with other friends and you've made those observations. So, what do you think this kind of life experience have given you?
That is a very hard question. Never thought of that.
Mm.
Well, it's given me an experience. So now I can relate to others more who might be going through like similar situations or are just like, how has it shaped me?
Mm.
I think I've had my main character sad backstory. This has shaped me into a main character. No, I don't know. I don't think I can see that right now.
Okay, that's okay. It's just, yeah, it's just
Maybe we
close
will.
the time to
Maybe we
assess.
will talk about this again in a decade or so.
Okay, we will. But you're young as well. But
Yeah.
do you think anywhere this experience has impacted your way of looking at relationships for yourself in your life?
It did. It did back in the day. I definitely hated the idea of marriage, but I think that was also like because I was I'm still a teenager.
Mm.
Almost over. But I was going through, that teen period where you hate affection. You like, and that's when your parents and other relatives are also like, oh, when you get married, and then they start making those type of jokes. So I was kind of really appalled to the idea of marrying or ever starting a family. And I'm still not sure about family, but not too opposed to the idea of marriage.
Okay.
So I think I'm getting better.
Okay. Thank you. So, why also we are having this conversation today is not just to share our story and say like what happened with us, but also talk about because we notice and we observe, around us. A lot of people go through divorce or that conflict period in the marriage which culminates into a divorce, or maybe it culminates into a perpetual toxic relationship that people go on living, and it does impact children and families too.
Yeah.
So so what would you say to the parents, because you've seen us as well and then you see others as well, like, and you know how it can really impact a child and their even future life and their life choices and decisions. Just like you were more into your shell and avoiding any kind of approach or affection, in some people's life they would actually be so wanting affection in their life that they would just become vulnerable and put themselves out there, right? That happens too. So what would you say to the parents, like what can they really do, or what would a child expect from the parents if they are really going through a rough patch in their life?
See, when you notice that your parents are like fighting and are not, you know, getting along with each other, I think the child's first instinct is to be that pole, the pillar for them, to support them. And that takes away a lot from them. Not just in studies, not just, like with their time away from their friends or whatever, but like also emotionally, it takes a huge toll on them because they're just a child, they're just kids. Right? You, as an adult and as a parent, have gone through a lot of life experiences. So you've learned, hopefully you've learned to kind of support yourself and communicate. And just you've gone through some serious life changes and experiences. So there you've learned what works for you, what like how you can support yourself, how you can even support your partner, right? But the kid has not yet learned that. And for them to just like jump straight headfirst into this huge thing, it's really not fair for the child, because it's never the thought that, oh, maybe something's like wrong with the parents. It's always the thought, maybe there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
That I'm not able to, help them, that I have to be a better kid for my parents so that they recognize, oh, okay. Yeah. And that's a huge burden to have at such a young age, right? And just like for the parents, that no matter the issues that you have, of course, if it's abusive and if it's really not healthy for you or the kids,
you better make a fast decision and exit. Yes. But
I don't know, I don't want to say, just try not to get your kids involved. Like, you guys are adults. Though adults also need help.
Yeah.
They require help. Of course, they're not perfect. But try to handle it in a way where it's just between you two. Because this relationship of partners is just them, partners. It does not need to involve the kids, the family.
Yeah.
This doesn't need to change the dynamics between a mom and a daughter, or a dad and the son, daughter, whatever.
Yes. And that, I think, is very, very important to recognize, that divorce happens between a husband and a wife. It doesn't happen between the parents. The parents do not divorce each other, because the parent is a relationship for children, right? Yeah. So even if as individuals you go your separate ways and you're no longer in the same relationship, it is very important, if you have children, to have a very good clarity and understanding of how each of you would be showing up for your children and be there. I know that to have a healthy, congenial marriage relationship and to hold that as a sort of a benchmark for your children is always good, because it gives them a healthy model for their own lives. But sometimes when there are such differences which cannot be reconciled with, I won't say that, oh, don't get divorced for the sake of your children. No, I will never say that, because if you stay in a relationship only for the sake of your children, then too, what you're doing is you are putting the burden of your decision or your choice on your children, right? You end up doing that.
Yeah.
stay because you want to stay, you choose to stay. And when you choose to stay, try and stay as healthy as possible and not make it toxic. Either you leave and leave congenially, or you stay and you stay congenially, right? Toxicity while leaving or toxicity while staying is not helpful for the individual, for children, or for the people around you, the society around you at all. And
Seek help.
yes, of course.
There are so many talented people who have like spent their life educating themselves and trying to help married couples. So take advantage of their knowledge and try to better your relationship or even yourself, because you learn so much about yourself through maybe like a couple's therapy session.
Exactly. And like you said, like the children's expectation always is that, oh, my parents are adults and they have figured it out and they know it. Most of the times they don't, right? Most of the times there are always gaps in our learnings, always gaps in our understanding, or gaps in our capacity to cope up with the challenges of the life. So it's always to be very, very honest with yourself and say that, okay, yes, I haven't figured it out yet, but also remember that you are responsible for the lives you have brought in this world. And let that responsibility be your anchor and not really the what we say is the obstacle in your life, right? And I think the purpose of our conversation, this particular conversation today, was just to become aware of that, how divorce or toxicity in relationship can really impact children, so that you can learn from their perspective. What are they expecting from you? How are they looking at you? And what really is your role? So whether married or divorced, you can continue to be a responsible parent.
Yeah.
So do you see me and your dad are responsible parents now?
Okay, I think that's just fishing for compliments. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Bye.